What is up, you amazing people? It's Nima here, and I'm gonna do a little bit of talking before the actual video. Got a few updates to give you. I know you're probably upset about that. Don't worry, I won't waste your time too much. Just want to say that I actually broke my finger before I was able to play this game. So, I'm not saying you should call me a hero. I'm not saying, superhuman, but just saying, played through the pain, Also, due to some of the issues I've had, not just with the broken finger, mind you, but with other things, the horror game video is probably going to be a little bit late, but a good reason for that. Good reason. And that is because I found an amazing game on sale that you guys have to hear about, and I'm just wrapping that up, and so hopefully that'll come out either tomorrow or Monday. But there's an amazingly great deal on a really good game that is really unique. I do want to talk about that. Now, if you do like video game content and all that other stuff, please hit that like and subscribe button. Each and every one of you guys, you're so amazing. I can't thank you enough. I know some people would laugh at, trying to get to 600 subs or say it's not a lot. But dude, organically, what we're doing here is amazing, and I thank each and every one of you. So, anyway, I want to talk about the game Trifox, and I don't want to overshadow this game with anything else what I was talking about, because Trifox really surprised me. This is a game I've never even heard of before, but a few days ago, the team reached out to me and asked if I wanted to check it out, and of course I do. I'm always interested in new games, but this one was different. So, Trifox, in a lot of ways, is kind of a sibling to a Ratchet and Clank or Crash Bandicoot without the incredibly difficult aspect of Crash, and it's more like your 3D platformer type game. And for me, the story is really what just really grabbed me. It's something personal to me. You see, because this whole thing is based upon the fact that somebody stole his TV remote and he's out to get it back. How can you think of a more tragic thing than losing your TV remote? As you play this fox, trying to track down your remote, fighting horrible enemies, honestly. Like, this fox is up against it. And the whole aspect of Trifox comes from the fact that there's different ways of leveling up. Now, with like Ratchet and Clank and all that, it's building up your weapons, right? With Crash Bandicoot, it's trying not to break your controller. With this game, though, you actually have three different phases, three different aspects of your character that you can work on and simultaneously use different abilities from these three different aspects of your character. So there's warrior, there's engineer, and there's mage. And each of them have their own aspects and different unique qualities about them. Now, I personally kind of use more of the engineer and the warrior. The machine gun that you have strapped on your back does a lot of damage, as well as some of like the AoEs of the warrior and clearing out while also adding some debuffs to the characters. I actually really prefer running that kind of system, but you can pick and choose how you want to do it. And I think that's really cool and a really cool aspect about this game. But that's not the only creative part of this game. The level design is also incredibly creative, as no area really feels like the same. Like, I really feel like they just jumped in on this and went all in with it. This is a type of game that you would expect from like a AAA company as far as your level design, as far as your customization with your main character. A lot of things like that just really scream top-notch, cream of the crop sort of aspects of a game that is actually made by an indie company. And they have to be really proud of what they've done with this game. Like I said, the level designs don't feel repetitive at all. The biomes themselves, the environments, they're all different to an aspect that I think is really impressive for this being their first shot at making a game, and this is what they make. They take this very tried and true formula of a character, kind of silly, ridiculous platformer, fighting some kind of funny, yet difficult enemies, and they actually reinvent that a little bit by adding a different aspect to it, like the customization of having, these three different builds that you can actually pull abilities from and customize your own character. I think that's amazing and really cool. Now, this game isn't without its flaws. It does have some aspects of it that maybe need a little help, typically a patch. There's some performance issues, a little bit of lag here and there. Now, I have been told by them that they have a patch coming out, and in fact, it's already been submitted to Nintendo, and they're just waiting for approval, and they're going to go ahead and patch it through, which that really gives me a lot of hope for this team, as they already knew they had some problems, and they'd already had the patch ready to go, really just waiting on Nintendo. But as I said before, that this game is that kind of 3D platformer Ratchet and Clank type game. I want wanted to kind of compare that, and I wanted to bring it to an expert. When I say an expert, I'm talking about my wife. My wife doesn't play any other games. It's really crazy, actually. She has 100%ed every Ratchet and Clank game. Like, that's just her thing. We saw a trailer back in 2019 for the Ratchet and Clank game, and she was like, we gotta buy a PS5. Just for this one game. I've never heard of anyone who just go, I don't know if I've ever 100%ed any game, to be honest, and she does it for Ratchet and Clank. It's weird. But I let her check this out, because I said, hey, this has been kind of compared to Ratchet and Clank, and it has some abilities like that. Why don't you check it out? Let me know what you think. Well, I played through the first world and beat the boss and got through about half of the second level, and that's the last time I saw the game. She basically just like took my Switch and played it for about another 4 or 5 hours straight on, and apparently beat the game or is really close to beating the game. That speaks volumes to how good this game is, that it is not only something that a veteran gamer like myself has enjoyed, but also somebody who really doesn't play that often and only plays one type of game. And that game is something that, they actually enjoy and would say was comparable to something like Ratchet and Clank or Crash Bandicoot. And, again, that's anecdotal, but it gives you an idea of actually how good this game is and what they've done with it. Again, it's not perfect. I would say the visuals, they're a little less than perfect. I'll put it that way. You can tell the strain on the Nintendo Switch and whatever. It's not that big of a deal. For me, my biggest issue was while using the machine gun, which was my main weapon, I did find it a little bit difficult at first to get used to the controls and to really get in on aiming. And like I said, let's say maybe the first 20, 30 minutes, maybe even an hour, I didn't feel that comfortable going into battles. And that's like a huge part of the game. So really acclimating myself with the controls and getting used to the targeting system, that was an issue, as well as jumping. You see, like in most of these games, you follow your shadow, but not this one. There's this little white circle that dictates where you're going to land. So getting used to that aspect is actually kind of difficult as well. Again, I would say after 20, 30 minutes of, just really bashing that stuff into my head, got used to it and it was fine. And I was able to traverse the rest of the game just fine. But, and same with like my wife and everyone else I know who's played it. But ultimately, I was incredibly impressed by this game. It's not my typical type of game, like the action platformer type style, but I was taken back by the quality and the creativity and ingenuity that went into this game from a company I've never heard of, and this being their first game, that's probably why, and how much effort they put into it. I think it's a fantastic game, especially for the price. It's $19.99, and this is something that, like, if this was released under a different company name, you would believe this to be a AAA title, or at least really close, maybe AA, like high AA. And I don't know, there's something to be said for that, for sure. And the fact that they have been a great team to work with and to talk with. And trust me, it has no bearings on my review. Because Fallen Knight, guys, they were really cool too. And, well, I was honest about my thoughts on that game. But anyway, no, this is a game that if you're really interested in, like, the 3D platformer style, if you like that kind of almost retro feel now, it's a really great game. And it's really fun. As well as incredibly charming and funny. But also difficult. There is some real difficulty to this game that I think gives you enough challenge. With so many of those games, like a Ratchet and Clank type style game, I really never had a problem beating them or getting through them, but this one, I'm not saying it's hard, but there's definitely some hiccups, we'll put it that way. But yeah, and for $19.99, I think that's insane, but I'm curious what your thoughts are. Have you heard of this game? Is it something that you've been looking at? Are you now interested in this game? All of your comments down below would be incredibly helpful, not only for the algorithm, but also because I like talking to y'all. But anyway, guys, like always, I'm wishing you health, wealth, and above all, I hope you're truly happy because you make me happy. Have a great weekend, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.